Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. So here today we are going to be graphing polynomials in factored form. So let's say we have this equation, then we are required to graph this one. So firstly, find the x-intercept. Find the x-intercept. So the x-intercept is where y is equal to 0. So at the point of the x-intercept, y is equal to 0. So if you look at your graph, the x-intercept, it is these points. So at these points, your y value is equal to 0 because it's along the x-axis. So we are going to put, where there is f of x, we are going to put 0. So 0 should be equal to x plus our 2, x minus our 1, then our x minus our 3 there. So after doing that, we are going to end up with 0 should either be equal to x plus 2, or our 0 should be equal to x minus 1, or our 0 should be equal to x minus 3 there. We are going to take our 2 this side. We are going to have negative 2 should be equal to x, or we are going to take our 1 here. We are going to have 1 should be equal to x, or we are going to take our 3 the other side, in which we are going to have 3 should be equal to our x, like that. So we have found these values to be our x-intercepts. So let's just find our y-intercept in advance. So our y-intercept, our x should be equal to 0. So along the y-axis, our x should be equal to a 0, like that. So we are going to say for our equation is y should be equal to x, x plus 2, x minus 1, and our x minus 3, like that. So our x is equal to 0, so y should be equal to 0 plus 2, 0 minus 1, 0 minus 3, like that. So what we are ending up with is 0 plus 2 is 2, 0 minus 1, that's negative 1, 0 minus 3, that's negative 3. So multiplying this, we are going to get our y should be equal to 6. So we have the y-intercept at 0, 6, like that. This is where the graph passes the y-axis. Now, after we have done that, what we are going to do is that we are going to find some values in between these values. So we have found already that our x is equal to our negative 2, our x is equal to 1, and our x is equal to 3. So the next stage is for us to find at least some values that's where the graph is passing. That is where the sign table comes in, but instead of just having signs, we are going to be having values as well. So let's look at it. So under the sign table, we are going to first, let's use the number line. So when we use our number line like that, what we have is that we have a negative 2, we also have a positive 1, we have a positive 3, like that. Then we are going to write our interval. So all the x values that are this side, all of them are less than negative 2. You can verify to say we could have negative 3, negative 4. So we are going to say all the x values this side are less than negative 2. Now in between, all the values beginning here, this could be negative 1 and all that. So this means to say we are going to say negative 2, all the values that are here are greater than negative 2, but at the same time the last value is less than 1. So we are going to say but it is less than 1. So we are going to say less than 1. Then from 1 to 3, we are going to have something like this. All the values that are here are such that they are greater than 1, but at the same time they are less than 3, like that. Last but not the least, we are going to have our values of x this side. All the values of x this side are such that our x are greater than 3 there. So we have all the values that are this side. We could have 4, 5, 6. They are greater than. So you are going to use these same values to come up with a table. Then that table will help you find out where the graph will pass certain points. So let's come up with it. So we have our factors. Then what we are going to write here is we are going to write the intervals. So we we are going to have our x is less than negative 2. Then we have our negative 2 is less than x is less than 1. Then we have our 1 is less than x is less than 3. Then last but not the least, we have our x is greater than 3, like that. Therefore, we are going to write our x plus our 2 there. Then we are just writing the factors, these values. So these values are the ones that we are writing now. So on the part for factors, so we have our x plus 2, our x minus 1, and finally our x minus 3. Then we are just going to say our f of x, or rather the product, whatever result we get is our f of x, because f of x is equal to these factors. Then after doing that, we are going to ask ourselves, if x is less than negative 2, it means to say x could be a value that is equivalent to negative 3 or negative 4 if you want, but the closest is negative 3. So if x is less than negative 2, it could be equal to negative 3. In between, if from negative 2 to 1, our x value could be equal to a negative 1. Remember, I have just avoided using 0 because I've already used it to find the y-intercept. I've already said x is equal to 0. So let's use another value. So we have our x is equal to negative 1. Then from here, from the interval of from negative 1 to 3, so when we say from negative 1 to 3, it means to say we have a 1, we have a 2, and a 3, though we are not reaching those values. So we can use a 2 there. So here x is equal to 2. Then finally we have our, if x is greater than 3, it means to say x could be equal to 4. Then all we have to do is start replacing. When we get our 3 here, when we get our negative 3, we put it here. We are going to get a negative 3 plus our 2, which will give us a negative 1, like that. So we are going to get this negative 1 and put it there. So we are going to have a negative 1. So instead of how we used to do the sign table to just put the sign, but we are going to put a value. We are here, negative 3, we put it here. We are going to have negative 3 minus 1. This will give us a negative 4. So therefore, we write a negative 4 there. When we put our negative 3 here, we are going to have negative 3 minus 3, which will give us a negative 6. So we are going to put a negative 6, like that. Then multiply negative 1 times negative 4, that's positive 4, times negative 6, that's negative 24, like that. Then from there, get this negative 1, put it here. We are going to have negative 1 plus a 2. Then our negative 1 plus 2, this gives us a value that is equivalent to a negative, we are going to have negative 1 plus 2, that's a positive 1, like that. Then a negative 1, if we put it here, we are going to have negative 1 minus 1, which will give us a negative 2. So we are going to put a negative 2 there. Then finally, our negative 1, when we put it here, we are going to have negative 1 minus 3. This will give us a negative 4. So we are going to put a negative 4 there. We multiply. Negative 2 times negative 4, that will give us a positive 8 times 1, that's still positive 8, like that. Then finally, we are going to put our 2. If we put it there, we are going to have a 2 plus 2. This will give us a 4. So we write a 4 there. Then we are going to get, if we get our 2 here, we are going to have a 2 minus 1, which will give us a 1. So we are going to write a 1 there. Then finally, we are going to get a 2. We put it there. We are going to have 2 minus 3. This will give us a negative 1. So we write negative 1. Then multiply. 4 times 1 times negative 1. This will give us a negative 4, like that. So last but not the least, the last column, we are going to have our 4. When we put it here, it will be a 4 plus a 2. This will give us a value that is equivalent to 6. So we are going to write a 6 there. Then when we get our 4, we put it here, it will be a 4 minus 1, which will give us a 3 there. So we are going to write a 3, like that. Then we have a 4. When we put it here, we have a 4 minus 3. This will be equal to positive 1. Then we are going to multiply. So multiplying our 6 times 3 times 1, this will give us a value of 18 like that. So we have found these values. So these are our values of f of x, or our y values in other terms. So now let's see what we have. So the value that was producing a negative 24 was a 3. So this is the same as having our negative 3 comma negative 24. You look here. When you look at here, we have a negative 1. So negative 1 is corresponding with 8. So negative 1 comma 8. Then we have our 2. Our 2 is corresponding with, so we have a 2 is corresponding with a negative 4. So we write a negative 4 like that. Then the last value that we have had is a 4 is corresponding with 18. So we have 4 with 18 like that. We know the intercepts. So let's come up with our graph now. So let's look at our intervals, the values of y. We have a negative 4, we have 8, we have 18, we have 24. So the best scale that we can use here is using 4s. So we are going to have a 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 like that. Also going down, negative 4, negative 8, negative 12, negative 16, negative 20, and finally a negative 24 like that. Then this side we can just have a 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4 like that. So therefore we can now be able to put, so our intercepts, if you remember, our x-intercepts were found to be 1, 3, and negative 2. So the x-intercepts, we have 1, 3, and negative 2. So we can positive 1, positive 3, and a negative 2. So this is where the graph passes the x-axis. Then the y-intercept was found to be positive 6. When we did our calculation here, we found it to be 0.6. So we put it there. Then finally, let us just look at where the graph passes at some points. So we are going to have a negative 3, negative 24. So negative 3 is here, negative 24 is all the way down here. So we are going to have all the way down here. This is where our negative 24 is. Then we are going to go to our negative 1, 8. So we go at negative 1. It is corresponding with our positive 8. So we are going to do that. Then we look at our 2 is corresponding with negative 4. So we go to 2. It is corresponding with our negative 4. So it is here. Then finally, our 4 is corresponding with 18. So we are going to go at 4, go to 18 there. So we are going to have something like this. Then all we have to do is join the points. So the points, let us join them. So we are from here, going up there, passing that point, coming here until here. So from there we can continue the graph. So it's moving like that until our last point like that. So this is what we have. Let me just do this. So this is how the graph is looking. So that is how we plot those graphs. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you would like, subscribe, and share for more. See you in the next tutorial.